And welcome back to the show. We're here discussing our 5 songs that got us into the band. We covered the Beatles and the Who in much detail, and we're gonna finally praise the last band for today, and that's Pink Floyd. The 5 songs that got us, our personal choice, that got us to be the 5 fans that the fans that we got from these 5 songs. You know what? I'm just gonna stop talking. I'm just gonna turn it over to somebody. Since Avery, since you had 1, do you want to go first? No? Okay, he only has 1, so
Okay.
this time, you know what? I'm actually gonna go first because
Go for it.
yeah, okay,
Do it, man.
yeah.
You got this.
Got this.
My first one, well, actually, because I want to go first because the first 2 are from the first album, and I can't put these, I can't separate these. So 1 and 2, from Dark Side of the Moon, my first Pink Floyd album. I remember getting it and liking it, and I couldn't understand it. I heard, Any Color You Like. I heard On the Run. I heard Great Gig, and it wasn't almost like a, what is this? It was almost like a, okay, am I supposed to feel something? Am I supposed to get it? I don't get it. But the 2 songs on that album that really knocked me off my feet were Breathe, because I loved the way the song came in, even with the howl and cackle of that, and just I love the sentiment of it. Breathe in the air. Don't be afraid to care. It was a very mellow sounding song, and
Dude, that song is one of the best stoner songs
Yeah.
that's ever been written.
and it was actually one of the few songs I actually knew all the words to, because there weren't a lot of words in it, and I loved, because I was a kid, I loved the image of Run Rabbit Run, because I was like, oh cool, they're mentioning rabbits in the songs. No one does that anymore or since. But I listened to it, and I just love the way, and the thing that sold me about the song, and Becca and I have discussed this before, are those 2 chords that Rick Wright came up with that really bridge, which really bridged the verse together. The first time I heard that, I almost had to pause my CD player and just wait, hold on, whoa. The bridge was almost in a different key. I was like, how did he do that? I gotta hear that again. So I would go back and listen to it. And my second one, just because it's from the same album, I have to bring it up, was Us and Them. I loved the way the song, again, was very mellow.
That's my thing.
Yeah, except for maybe the bridge parts, maybe a little bit not as mellow. But I loved the echo on it. I loved singing along to it as a kid, doing the repeating echo, thinking I was so cool. And when the first time my dad and I tried singing up to Wizard of Oz, that was the song that sold me, because I was like, before that it didn't sing up well, and Us and Them was perfect. Everything synced up. Everything synced up perfectly, and I just went, sweet Jesus, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
So
I gotta say, Dark Side of the Rainbow, everyone needs to experience it at least once.
Yeah.
Just to make your own impression of it, because whether or not it's real, it's a pretty damn cool thing. Another good thing that's kind of obscure, you need to sing Wish You Were Here with It's a Wonderful Life.
What? Those 2?
Yeah.
I think I've done that actually.
It's I've done it before. It's actually very good.
Well, then I gotta.
Especially because Have a Cigar starts when George is sitting down in Potter's office about to smoke the cigar.
Interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
I know there's also the sync echoes up to Space Odyssey, but I never did that one either. So
You can actually do several albums that sync up Like, you can do, let's say, a selection of Ummagumma and metal.
Yeah, but I'll let the Ummagumma one go.
Oh, I mean, it works for what it is. Like, you hear, I think it's Sisyphus Part 3 goes with the monkeys in the beginning of Space Odyssey.
But why would you want to hear Sisyphus Part 3?
Well, when you look at when you watch,
Some people are
when you watch the
masochists.
Monkey Men, when you watch the Monkey Men in Space Odyssey, and you hear the way that Rick is tinkering around with the keyboards in Sisyphus 3, it kind of you look at it and you're like, oh, okay.
But
It makes
why?
it makes a weird sort of sense, and I can't quite explain it.
Well, we'll just have to give it a try when Becca can find it in herself.
But why?
To do it. So those are my
I know.
Yeah, so those are my two, Breathe and Us and Them, because, I really wanted to put them together because those were the two almost at the same time that got me in. So
Right.
that's Garrett, you want to?
Thanks.
Yeah, you want to go next?
Oh, okay. Yeah, first one I heard, again, it's a pair, but this one makes sense to be a pair, unlike yours, Tom.
Ooh.
Ooh, is that a burn here?
White birds. Is that
It
a
wasn't
challenge?
a good one, but it was a burn.
Anyway, I'm choosing Brain Damage and Eclipse.
Huh.
The Dark Side of the Moon medley that you hear on the radio, because that's the first time I can ever really recollect hearing Pink Floyd ever and knowing it was Pink Floyd. I think I heard Welcome to the Machine on the radio, which was a weird thing when you were like 7 years old or so.
They play that on the radio?
Oh, yeah, they do.
They did once.
They
I
do
think
all
it
the
was-
time over here.
You listen
Yeah, it
to
must
the
have been
radio?
Tom, it must have been on Lone Star or something. I don't know. Which is a great. Anyone in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you should listen to Lone Star. Shameless plug. Anyway, they played. I was in church. Was out in the parking lot of church. We were backing out, and I heard Brain Damage and Eclipse for the first time, and it just caught me from the guitar in the beginning, and then Waters started singing everything, and I was like, "This song, this is amazing." I say that for everything I discover, but yeah, the way it grew, especially through Eclipse, and just climaxed at the end, and the way the harmonies came on Eclipse, and I was just listening to this, and I was completely overwhelmed by it. And then afterward, I asked my dad who that was, and he said, "Dude, that's Pink Floyd, man, they're great." I was like,
Your dad
"Oh,
really
okay,"
talk
and then
like
I
that?
never listened to Pink Floyd ever again after that until halfway through high school.
Really?
Dad really say,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
that's Pink Floyd?
Well, but actually, I have a question about that. Because I don't think I've ever actually heard those two on the radio together. But
Really?
yeah, I'm actually, I don't.
Yeah, sometimes I hear Us and Them all the way through to the end of the album on the radio.
That's insane.
way.
That's insane. But
They put Any Color You Like on the radio.
Jersey area.
yeah,
They put Any Color You Like on the radio.
that's Jersey radio for you.
That is,
No.
in my life, putting an instrumental on even a pop-ish radio station is unheard of.
Right. But see,
Except if it's like, Frankenstein or
well, yeah.
something that was, like
guys
Green
got that they
Onions.
Do you guys have some sort of straight up classic rock radio out there?
Yeah.
It's not
yeah.
too much. I mean, sweetie, we're in Texas.
Yeah,
We got country out the wazoo out here.
And plus,
You're
Texas.
right.
Yeah.
And you think it's bad in Texas, Tom? Man, there's every station in Oklahoma is country. It's fucking terrible.
Oh wow. Well, see,
Anyway.
but I have a question about that though. When you hear Eclipse at the end, because there's not a lot of sound at the end at the ending note, do they just end it there, or do they play out to the there's no Dark Side of the Moon? I'm curious.
They cut off after There's No Dark Side of the Moon. Like, they usually play through to that and then end.
Okay.
The way I heard it the first time I heard it, I remembered I didn't know there was a heartbeat on it at the end because they cut off pretty much right after the main lyrics ended.
Oh wow.
Kind of sucks.
Yeah. Well, see, that's why I asked, because there's not a lot of sound there. But Becca says they do, and here they don't. So you know what? That's the joy of contrasting states. We are not going to agree on everything.
Well, not necessarily agree. We'll have different experiences. Yeah.
Right.
Commonplace practices,
Alright.
radio and such.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of experience, Becca, what song would you like to begin your list with?
Oh, okay. Well, my journey into the Pink Floyd sound, like most, started with Us and Them. I mean, not us. Wait, hold. I messed up.
Wait, you know the
Crap.
song I messed up?
No,
That's my
shit.
favorite one.
Crap. Wait. Okay. My journey into the Pink Floyd sound, like that of most, started with Dark Side of the Moon, and the one that really captivated me was Us and Them.
Very nice choice. I speak for it
Yeah.
myself. But I have
Okay.
to. Yeah.
I just remember listening to the whole album the first time, the whole way through on a long car ride.
Yeah.
I remember hearing Us and Them and being like, this is pretty. This is really pretty. Because at the time, it was, again, I play lots of instruments and I like to play music. And at the time, I was primarily like a piano keyboard person. I did play other instruments, but I hadn't really branched out to them or thought myself any good at them. So hearing the piano and that, I was like, this is something I could do.
Mm-hmm.
This is cool music that I could play.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the time, I was, in
Yeah.
the lessons track, being forced to play all sorts of silly pieces I didn't care about.
Yeah. That's the cool thing about Pink Floyd, is that they make such iconic and great music. It's truly awesome music, and yet you look at it and you're like, this couldn't be simpler.
Oh yes.
They don't do that much in the way of weird time signatures, although Money, they did it because it's awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there was, they have a lot of, sound effects and everything that make it sound a lot more complex than it really is.
Right.
Yes.
But when it comes down to it, they are a rock band and they can only do so much. So
Yeah, especially when you look at Pink Floyd and, look at David Gilmour, for example. Pink Floyd started in 1967. He joined in 1968. David Gilmour didn't know how to read music until 2006.
Oh wow! I didn't even know that.
When he was learning the saxophone for On an Island when he was playing Red Sky at Night, and that was the first time he'd ever actually read music.
Wow! I didn't know that. So
I mean,
yeah.
think about, this is the guy who wrote and performed Comfortably Numb, and he didn't know the notes he was playing.
Right.
That's really cool.
He just felt it out.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not to say that he didn't know guitar chords and he knew the notes to fit the chords.
Oh, yeah.
But that's something else entirely. We get to.
Yeah.
I actually, you know what? Since Garrett and I gave two to begin with, Becca, why don't you go ahead and give your second song?
Oh, okay. I mean, I was still going to go on a tangent about Dark Side, but I forgot entirely what it was.
Well, I was counting Brain Damage Eclipse as one song, by the way.
Oh,
Us and Them was my highlight from the Dark Side of the Moon, because though the whole album as an experience listening to it the first time was what really started to get me into the band, Us and Them was the particular song that got me hooked, and I was like, this is really cool. And then it started my journey into
Floydness.
Yeah.
Very, very deep appreciation for the musicianship of Richard Wright. There we go, I said it.
All right.
All right.
We were all waiting for it. All waiting for it. You were all waiting for it.
Yep.
That's very well.
Like, how is she going to first mention Richard Wright? There you go.
I just realized that if people aren't familiar with our old episodes, they won't get why that's so iconic to us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Richard Wright is, Becca's heartthrob, even though he's kind of
Pink Floyd member, one of my favorite musicians of all time.
Right.
Even though he's kind of dead.
Kind of.
Just a little bit. Not too dead, but not alive.
I'm not dead yet.
I'm not dead yet.
So.
He's sort of dead.
I'm getting
Yeah.
better.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I feel better.
So
It seems slow now, but eventually you're going to be just like expecting every single word out of my mouth to be Richard Wright.
I love you.
Yeah.
I love you.
Okay. All right.
Especially when we're eventually going to review Broken China.
I keep forgetting we're doing that, and every time you remind me we're doing that, I get really excited.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Anyway, next song. Again, this is another me going to church and hearing something on the radio story, because apparently that's how I hear all good music. I heard Happiest Days of Our Lives and Another Brick in the Wall on the way to church one day. And and I definitely this one was possibly even more impacting than Brain Damage Eclipse because the helicopters.
Really?
That's all I have to say. I mean, the helicopters begin the song, and you just go, dude, shit's gonna go down. And so, you listen to the whole thing of it, and I thought it was really cool how you can interpret this song very differently depending on the context you hear it. Because anyone who knows enough about The Wall, interpret that as you will, should know that it's a rock opera and it has a narrative storyline that goes through it and is fairly tight. So, Another Brick in the Wall is basically saying how we've gone over this before.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yes, we have.
And how it's saying this is how Pink is building his wall of isolation to block out the outside world. And his school life was several bricks that went into his wall. And that's all she wrote in the way that song was written. Now, if you just take it entirely out of context and all you hear is the happiest days of our lives and Another Brick in the Wall, which is the standard radio medley you hear of it, all you hear is a kid who's being accosted by his school teacher and saying, I'm not going to be just another person in this world we have, saying the wall is a population of people, probably in the world or in society in particular, and I'm not just going to be another brick in this societal wall. I'm going to be something different, something unique. And that takes a really different twist on the song.
Well, a lot of songs have different twists in context. I mean, God forbid, we did 4 whole hours on that album and the different interpretations that it means. But
and also, you can't have your meat if you don't eat your pudding. Oh, wait, other way around. I messed up. You can't have your pudding if you don't eat your meat.
Today, aren't we?
We're all doing this. It's late at night here.
Yeah.
It's even later for you.
Okay. Becca, what do you have for your number 2 song?
Right, okay,
Yeah,
so my second song, and I guess I should probably say my third song too, so I catch up with you guys. My second song is Wish You Were Here, because it's just one of those ones that you hear, and it's like, okay, this is a band, and this is a song that they do that's well known. I know.
Yeah, fun fact, I did not hear this one on the radio until only a couple of years ago, and I don't know what I was listening to that I would have missed it.
Huh.
Go on, I interrupted.
And then 3, this one's a weird one, because it's like after, it's like, okay, I like this band, I'm going to pick up some more albums by them. So one of the albums that, for some reason, I decided to pick up was Metal.
That's always a good choice.
Yeah?
Completely out of left field for a 12-year-old.
Very out of field.
Just pick it up, and I really, really took this bizarre liking to Saint-Tropez.
That's a very nice choice.
That is.
I just remember hearing the dancey little piano thing at the end and just feeling so cheery listening to that. Just being, this is so lovely. I like this song.
I remember getting that same kind of feeling the first time I heard it. I mean, just the way the song opened, I was just like, yeah. I was like, I want to hate this a little bit because it doesn't sound like Pink Floyd a little bit, but it's so up and it's so bright. It was
Alright, already.
so good.
Yeah, again, this is one of those songs where you have to set up a bit of circumstance to truly enjoy it. This was the one I feel like is best enjoyed in a lounge chair, maybe on a beach, maybe just on your porch in the backyard on a sunny day, and just you're sipping back on a fruit drink, and you'd be like, life is good. And you gotta be in a swimsuit, that sort of thing. Be like, I could be out in the ocean right now, but I'm just gonna kick it back and sip my drink real fast and listen to this song.
Whatever suits your fancy for that song. I've always liked it.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, my number 3 choice. I've told this story before, but I, just like you, Garrett, it wasn't until my second half of high school that I sort of got to liking Pink Floyd. I had heard Dark Side of the Moon, I liked it, and then I just put it away for years. And then one day, I believe it was a Saturday. No, it couldn't have been a Saturday because my dad was away. And we were cleaning well, I was vacuuming downstairs, and I believe it was actually Lone Star radio playing, and I remember listening, and I hear this song, and I'm thinking, I don't really know this one, and I called my dad, and I said, Dad, there's a song on the radio. It sounds like Pink Floyd, because I knew that what their voices sounded like from Dark Side of the Moon. I hold the phone up to the speaker, and I said, this is driving me crazy. Can you tell me what it is? I hold it to the speaker. I pull it away, and I said, well, what is that? And he's like, dude, that's Comfortably Numb.
But you called your dad for that? Was he at work?
Yeah, he was at work.
That is the most trivial reason to call your dad.
But-
If I were your dad, I would have been so mad at you.
Avery, who has been absent for the past several minutes, just instantly looks up and is like, "The hell is wrong with you?"
What did you do?
I'd be so mad at you if I were your dad. You called me for
And
this?
I don't know why I.
Don't
and I
call
don't know
me
why I
unless
made
you're
Avery
dying,
black there for a
Tommy.
second.
it was driving me crazy, and so I said to Dad, I said, thank you, and he said, yeah, that's. And I don't think he was bothered because he started to go off. He's like, yeah, that's my favorite song on the wall, an album that I really grew up liking. It's helped me a lot, so that's helped me become a fan. I listened to just that song over and over again. I loved, like we said, I loved the vocals on it. I love the acoustic strum. I even like the little keyboard work that Rick's doing behind. Well, it's probably not Rick actually, but whoever's doing it. I even like that behind the verses. I just everything about that song is so perfect, and that solo is
You
just.
that website where I could check if it was Rick or not, and now I don't know where it is, and I'm upset because I want to know.
Right, but just everything about that song was so. It was so perfect that I was just like, wow, it was so crafted, and even my choir teacher has said it's one of the best pieces of music that's ever been recorded. And this is a guy who's heard everything from
These are Mozart and Beethoven
and Renaissance and even to
and
Queen.
modern stuff
Huey
too.
Lewis in the News.
Yeah, from Huey Lewis and the News
Bee
to
Gees.
Queen, the Bee Gees, and to single out Comfortably Numb as hands down one of the best pieces.
The Backstreet Boys.
I just
One Direction.
NSYNC.
Yeah.
All the great
Grease.
classics.
so that just brings
That band Disney Channel made but then didn't go anywhere.
Are you done?
I don't know what they're called.
Big Time Rush. One Direction.
Yeah.
Jonas
No.
Brothers, that's what I'm thinking of. That band that didn't do anything.
Jonas Brothers.
They wanted to be. They should have made them big for like a year, and then they just went away, like they
Yeah.
should.
Anyway,
You done?
Yeah.
am I next now?
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Avery wants to say something.
There is a really
Okay.
great cover of that song by a prog jazz band called The Bad Plus. Everyone should go look it up.
Is it really that great?
What?
Yeah,
The Bad Plus.
The Bad Plus. They do a couple covers. They do a cover of that. They do a cover of what else do they do? They do a cover of Barracuda. They do a cover of another great Lithium
Lithium.
of Nirvana's Lithium.
Damn.
Yeah, I gotta check this out. Bad Plus.
The Bad Plus.
I'm gonna write that down and remember that.
I can show it to you later. I got it on my iPod.
Okay. So again,
On my
yeah,
phone.
all right. So I'm done with
That was the only one that I put on a list, but I love that song as a kid.
Okay. So that's it. So that's my third choice. I just everything about that song is perfect.
That song's so dark and depressing.
It is, but it's perfect.
That's why I loved it as a kid. It's dark and depressing.
Well, yeah,
only one I ever got
of
into
course
was Comfortably
it's
Numb
dark
because
and
of that.
depressing. Pink is on a friggin' drug trip the whole time.
Right. But like I said, I can't say much about that song because I'm literally, no pun intended, lost for words here.
That's the problem with the music podcast.
Too many bad.
Too many
puns.
times you go,
So many
I'm lost
puns
for
to be
words.
made so little time.
this song was good.
Alright,
Yeah.
Song was good.
so it's me now.
Literally all this is for 3 hours. This song is
It's
good.
good.
I like it. This
Yeah.
other song is good too. I
Yeah.
like it too. Richard Wright.
Yeah.
Let's repeat
Okay, so my next one.
3 hours.
So my next one.
Us.
We done here? Alright, so when I was a sophomore in high school, I guess it was a sophomore. No, I was a junior. My brother and I were kind of looking for music to do because The Who was my middle school band, the Beatles were my high school band, and I was like, now what? And so asking, my dad, because he knows these things, a couple of bands that he thought, if I liked The Who and the Beatles, what would I enjoy next? And one of the things he said was, well, we should get you The Wall by Pink Floyd. And I was like, yeah, cool, whatever. My brother's birthday was coming up, so we jointly asked, can he get The Wall for his birthday? And so he did. And then we started listening to it, and immediately he was okay with it for a little while. I immediately fell in love with it, and it became mine under our understanding, I guess. We never actually said, here, you can have this album.
It was understood.
I just took it because I would keep playing it. And so I remember fairly distinctly the first time I listened to it, probably with my brother. I put it in my CD player, and you hear this sort of twiddly little organ thing in the background. I'm like, oh, it's one of these quiet CDs, isn't it? Because, there's some that have a lower volume on them baked in. And so I started turning it up.
Oh, boy.
Sudden, boom, boom. I'm like, oh, this is how it's going to be. So that's why my next song is In the Flesh Part 1 with the question mark.
Nice. I can only imagine.
They couldn't clearly label that enough.
Well,
yeah.
It is kind of hard to, because, you're not going to put, unless you're another brick in the wall, which, there's different bricks in the wall. That's why it's parts 1, 2, and 3. But I don't think you're going to do the same with In the Flesh. I've always wondered that, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah,
why there is no part 1 and part 2, because to my knowledge, it's the same song.
Yeah, it is.
Just done twice.
Except in different lyrics.
Well, yeah, but for the most part, it's
a slightly different arrangement and stuff. And In the Flesh Part 2 actually ends.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forget that sometimes. But I remember the joy of hearing that for the first time, and especially hearing the live version too. From is there anybody out there? So good. Where they just cut the MC off.
Cut the MC off straight in the middle of the song.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Okay,
yeah.
Becca, how about you?
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
So then there was of course the inevitable journey of journeying into earlier Floyd, and that started very appropriately with Astronomy Domine.
Yeah, I still love that song.
Quality song.
That has got to be.
I've ever legitimately learned how to play like actual real people guitar on, instead of
an incredible simulation.
Crummy chords, haphazardly taught by a disinterested guitar teacher.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites of all time, mainly because just the beginning of it, just you slightly hear like somebody on an intercom, and then you hear this guitar fade in, and then my favorite part of the song is the drums, man.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
was that the first early Pink Floyd song that you say that you heard?
My first Sid era song, probably, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was definitely mine. Even though the first version I heard was on the Pulse album with Gilmore's Floyd.
Okay, so I'm gonna round up my list. You know what? Just for time measures, and actually one of them I don't have a lot to say about. I'll just go ahead and say them both. My next one I heard on a playlist because I was aware that Pink Floyd had their greatest hits album, Echoes. Not knowing at the time that every song was supposed to segue nicely into each other, which they did brilliantly on that collection. But I remember, because I compiled them on a playlist, and then I realized the mistake that they were supposed to segue into each other. But I was surprised the first time I heard Marooned. I thought to myself, this is outrageous, because I was anticipating vocals, but the instrumental part was so beautiful. I didn't mind when the vocals came in, and then they didn't come in at all, and I was like, wow, an instrumental piece that actually held my attention.
Yeah.
And it was done, beautifully. And so I still had that on like a favorite of instrumentals list, but I just love the sound of it and the instrumentation of it. I mean, I don't like on Echoes that it was cut. That just bugs the heck out of me.
That is a crime that should never again be committed.
Mm-hmm.
I still I still wish a curse upon whatever editor said that should be okay.
Well, you know why they did it? Because it won a
No.
Grammy. It was
Screw that.
was the only Pink Floyd.
So make it longer.
Yeah, we want to hear the whole thing that won their only Grammy, but I loved it. You know, I heard the edited version later, so I didn't mind it. But now, you know, the way that it's supposed.
PO'd.
Well, yeah, but the way that I hear it now, it's just like, no, I'm sorry, come on, guys. So I gotta put. So like I said, I have to put Marooned in the list because it's so beautiful, and I can still listen to it to this day. So who's next again?
I'll go.
Okay.
So going back again to The Wall, another one that really hit me more than most people, I guess, one that you wouldn't think was Don't Leave Me Now. Because,
Ugh.
what do you mean, ugh?
Yeah, you know me, I don't like that song.
Oh, fine.
Christmas dreams.
But anyway, I was saying.
This is your list, not mine.
When I really sat down to listen to The Wall, because, stupid me, I didn't do the thing that you're supposed to do with Pink Floyd albums and sit down and listen to them all the way through without any distractions. The first time I ever listened to The Wall all the way through, I was doing yard work at the same time.
Oh my.
I know I'm terrible. But anyway, there was one time I was just sitting on my bed with it playing the CD for the first time, and Don't Leave Me Now came on, and by that time I had actually heard it a few times. I was getting the hang of some of the lyrics, and besides, I had the lyric sheet in front of me. And so I was sitting on my bed, and it really hit me that one time, the emotional weight of that song. And I was just sitting there kind of screaming alone in my room while the song was playing, screaming the vocals along with it. And that's really stuck with me, and I wish I could get that to happen again with some song, any song, that song, I don't care.
That's happened to me so many times. There's been like that one time I've listened to it, and you go, why can't I get it back?
Yeah, and then later, a couple of it wasn't long later that I actually saw the live footage of the Wall concert. I found it on YouTube. And the way that Roger carries himself and sings in that song on in the show it's heartbreaking, really, that he sits on the little, I think it's on a little bed prop on the stage, and just rocking back and forth, holding his arms together as tight as you possibly can. You can see the cords bulging in his arms, just gripping the microphone and screaming into it. And just the way he did it, the way he emotionally invested himself in that concert, really drove it home for me that there's something really coming out of this man.
I'm gonna have to go see that. Maybe it'll actually decrease my dislike for the song.
Oh, hopefully, yeah.
That's neat.
Right.
Yeah.
Got another one, Bex?
Last one? Last one would be just a general synopsis of, being a sad kid and listening to The Wall and, really feeling everything and kind of, the whole, in a similar vein to the screaming along to Don't Leave Me Now, just sitting in almost essentially utter isolation in a dark room with the TV flickering and just listening to Nobody Home.
Oh,
wow, that
that's so cool.
That must have just sent chills.
It was disturbing and great.
As in every moment on a Pink Floyd album.
It was very much there have been periods of times where I've never necessarily been, actively harassed or anything, but there's, the general exclusion, etc., from the general flow of social things.
Yeah.
Oh,
totally.
yeah, definitely. I mean,
general feeling of disconnection, of isolation.
right.
Yeah.
And when you're the sensitive type of person who can make music or connect with music and just feel the pure, concentrated feelings, sitting home alone with the TV flickering on some channel you don't care about and listening to Nobody Home.
Mm-hmm.
You become Pink in that moment, and it's just sick and horrible and not good for a kid of whatever age, and just beautiful. Sick, twisted, dark, and beautiful.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, I can only imagine, well, that's never happened to me personally, but I feel like if I ever did kind of the exact scenario what you just said, I probably could not maybe stop crying. Because that song,
Does that happen?
yeah, because that
Yeah.
song, one of the first times I heard it, I just thought, wow, this is such a beautiful statement to make. I mean, on an already heavy album. I mean, we've done the album, but I mean, just to hear it out of context of the story, that I've said it before, that could have been a single. It probably wouldn't have done anything, but I think that
It
one,
could have
It does
been.
stand alone.
yeah, it could, perfect word. It could stand alone. Perfect, beautiful.
I agree, and it's a rare song that can really truly bring you to tears the way it hits home. That's how it was for Love Reign Over Me when I was in middle school, early high school, I guess.
That's how it still is for Love Rain Over Me. For
It
now.
still is for
Oh,
me
yeah,
too.
totally. I know that, and that was before it was my favorite song, and I just knew that one had so much more impact than initially you realized.
Right.
Okay. So, next one, I guess. Okay.
Speaking of,
You have your last one, and I have one more.
yeah, speaking of emotional songs, I remember getting. I don't remember how I got it. I don't think it was actually on the I don't think I actually got the album. But you talk about emotional songs. One song that just it builds. It's already emotional when it builds, and then by the time, you get to the actual lyrics of "Shine On You Crazy Diamond,"
Mm-hmm.
I just was just wow. I mean, the whole beginning was just was very haunting. It was almost, I mean, I hate to say this because I'm being really really dramatic here, but the idea of "Shine On You Crazy Diamond" and that very crystallized organ at the beginning,
Oh,
it
yes.
was very much like it was shining, but because it was very minor, it was very dark and very, like you said, very dark and twisted. That I just felt it worked so well. I mean, it took me a while to actually realize the importance of it, because the first time I heard it, I just thought, wow, that was such a great song. I mean, I can listen to it now. I will listen to, parts 1 through 9 continuously, because everything was just so, so beautiful. A lot of these songs on my list I picked were very beautiful songs, because as much as I like when Pink Floyd does, quote, rockers, for some reason there was something about the sentiments of those songs that just sold me. Especially since we talked about the Beatles and the Who, and those were either rockers or sentimental. These, to me, they just spoke to me in such a unique way that I don't think any other band has ever done it. And it's a darn shame that a band like Pink Floyd has gone almost unnoticed, but thanks to our show, it won't.
Oh, no.
So,
Yeah, I gotta say, man, Shine On, I really do think is one of the great musical achievements definitely of the modern era. I would put it right up, with it as it being a counterpart of Beethoven and Bach and that sort of stuff.
Oh,
it
yeah,
really is that emotional. The first part, before you get to the lyrics, like you were saying, I can nitpick all I want about, I think David Gilmour does the vocal better, blah, blah, blah. But just hearing that synth solo at the beginning especially over the wine glasses in David Gilmour's concerts, and it cuts me.
right,
It's deep. It's just, so good.
Layering upon
Anyway.
layering upon layering of instruments. That's why I said it builds to the point that when you get to the verse, there's that big chord, and then it kind of slows you down with the verse, but it slows you down because it's like we made you cry. Or it's like not we made you cry. We made you get ready, and now get ready to cry, but we're not going to shove it in your face.
Yeah.
We're going to
Also,
we're going to make you gently weep, so to speak.
yeah, and also the 4-note theme, man. Stark, right there, and it's simple, and you just want to hear it again and again and again.
Right.
Because it's mournful, and it's also curious, I think.
Right.
It's sort of the way it plays out. You can almost hear it asking a question.
Yeah, I kind of see what you say. I mean, not to sound like, yeah. I mean, not to sound kind of, a jerk, but I never really thought of it that way. I just thought of it as a simple 4-note theme. I mean, I respect that, you know, Roger heard those notes and then it immediately evoked memories of Sid, you know, right there and then. I respect that, but for some reason it just didn't do it for me. I respect it a lot more now, but because it was a song that got me to become a fan, I had to put it on my list. So those are my 5 Pink Floyd tunes, and I will carry them to my grave as 5 songs that have changed my musical life.
Amen. All right, last one for me then. This is kind of a weird relationship I've had with this song. That's, I guess, sort of grown, you might say. I first heard it on when I watched the Pulse show on DVD. Not on DVD, on YouTube. And for a lot of it, all I'd heard at that point was The Wall and Dark Side of the Moon. And they did all of Dark Side of the Moon in the Pulse video, and it was great and everything. So I didn't know Shine On when it came on. I didn't know any of the Gilmore Floyd songs from Division Bell or Momentary Lapse of Reason. And then I hear this one that kind of seemed to stick out like a sore thumb. First off, because it didn't have lyrics, and it wasn't in the Dark Side of the Moon set. So I hear it, and I wanted to know a little more about it afterward, because since it didn't have lyrics, I didn't know its name. I later found out it was One of These Days.
Wow.
And, yeah. And it definitely stuck with me because it was so different from everything else the Floyd had played, and yet it was still very much Pink Floyd.
Oh, yes.
And because there's no actual CD release of the Pulse version of One of These Days, I found what I thought was the next best thing was the Delicate Sound of Thunder version. I didn't even know it was on metal until months later. And Delicate Sound of Thunder, I think, is the best version of One of These Days.
I remember you getting that first, because I remember that was the version that you played for me, because because just like you said, I wasn't aware that there was a studio version of it. So that was the first time that I ever heard it, and again, I just thought, you know, it was so simple and so not Pink Floyd, you know, complicated-wise, but it sounded fantastic.
Yeah, I really truly liked it because, you know, being a kid who's grown up with the Rock Band games, I loved doing the drums. That was partly a Keith Moon thing, actually.
Yeah, buddy.
And so I heard the drums on this version of One of These Days, and there were a couple of things that struck me about it. First, it was simple. I could play this even if I'd never picked up a set of sticks before. Second, it was powerful. I don't know, I guess it was just the 80s sort of sound that they were going for, but the drums were so roomy on the Delicate Sound of Thunder. The snare drum would just echo like you just hit it in an empty room. And it was the drums. It was just the drums, man. And then there was the middly bit before the drums even came in, where it gets all quiet and sinister, and there's the bass guitar just going crazy. And later I found out they're also playing the Doctor Who theme song at the same time, so that's a thing I appreciate a little more now.
Right.
That I've become a Whovian.
Yeah.
And it's just the way the song starts, with just the sort of light breeze sound effect. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. You hear the bass come in, you're like, oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
And it's just the galloping bass that is consistent through the entire song. It's relentless. It will not leave you alone as you go through the song. And then there's the slide guitar. It's just, I could go on and on and on about this song because it's so simple, but it's so brilliant in every way.
Can I just say one thing about One of These Days?
Yeah.
You mentioned that there is no official Pulse recording of it. There are 2 live versions from the Pulse tour that did come out, but they're only... Yeah, there's one on the High Hopes UK single, and there's one that was available on the Pulse cassette only version. They were from 2 different venues. One was from
one being in France.
One was from Earl's Court, and the other one was from a place I cannot pronounce right now. So that's probably the French one right there. So just to clarify to let folks, if they do want to hear that, they do have to seek out those versions on the Pulse cassette and on the High Hopes single from '94. Just wanted to clarify that because
there's also a version on, you can find it on YouTube.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I'm saying because I've heard
Bootlegs and
those.
such.
I'm saying because I've heard those, I can say, I want to clarify that is available to people.
Yeah.
Because that's
also,
what. Yeah.
Also, just a quick comment as well. There's a Pink Floyd tribute band called Brit Floyd, and they do a version of One of These Days that I think is actually even better than Pink Floyd's versions.
I remember you played it to me. Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, I do remember you played it for me, and I thought it was very, very, very darn close to the original. But there was something about that recording that really did ump the ante on that one. So before we close, we just want to say that you've been listening to Triple Threat. We have been your 3 humble hosts. My name's Tom, and joining me was Garrett Hicks.
Hey.
And Becca Cristino. And we hope...
We've come full circle.
Yes, we have. Thank you guys.
Yes. Is this where?
Oh, I get it now.
This is where we came in. Yes,
Yeah.
Becca.
Yes. So good night from all of us to everyone listening. Thank you so
By
much.
the way, I'd like to point out that Becca's in the future right now because it's after midnight where she is, and it's still before midnight where we are.
Day ahead of you guys.
Yeah. So that's
got some wibbly wobbly timey wimey going around here.
Lovely time,
But that's the fun of the show. We can have a lot of fun, and from our 3 different perspectives from 3 different states, that's what's going to keep the show entertaining for all of us. So from all of us here at Triple Threat, thank you much for listening, and we hope to see you somewhere in the future.
Tommy,
Avery,
Good night,
do you want
everybody.
Taco Bell?
yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna go get Taco Bell.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night, everybody. Bye. Greetings, listeners. I'm Tom Maruzia, and from all of us here at Triple Threat, we really hope you enjoyed this special 3-part premiere episode. We'll have many topics to cover in the future, and we'd like to know what you'd like for us to talk about on upcoming episodes. You can leave your comments, messages, and suggestions on our page at mixcloud.com/triplethreat. And if you'd like to hear the old episodes of the show, back when it was the Record Rant podcast, check us out on podomatic.com or on iTunes by typing Record Rant in the search. Before we go, we'd like to wish myself, awkward, a very happy 20th birthday, and to say that we will be back with new episodes starting next week. So it's good night from all of us, and thanks for listening to Triple Threat. We'll see you next time.
Oh shit, fuck, I messed up.
Wait, you know the song Shit Fuck I Messed Up? That's my favorite one!
Crap. Wait. Okay.
Right.
Tommy, have you ever tried syncing up Dark Side of the Moon to The Room?
I don't...
Stop.
Oh,
Stop.
not gonna do that.
Also, another good sync while we're on the
You're
subject.
tearing me apart! That's okay, I still love
You gotta sync up. You gotta sync up the final cut to the room.
Oh,
Shit.
that's true.
Get the worst of both worlds here.
You're
Wait,
right.
don't insult The Room. The Room is the greatest.
Alright.
Okay.
Do
I
you
have
like
to pee like a
toasters?
racehorse.
Well, you'll love the new toaster automatic.
Wait, hold on. Someone said something.
Garrett did.
I didn't hear what he said.
He has to go pee like a racehorse.
Okay.
That's a thing?
That's that's a thing.
Well, you've never seen a racehorse pee.
I've never
Tommy.
seen a racehorse pee.
It's like that scene in Austin Powers.
I'm
So I work with horses every day. I know what I'm talking about, yo.
I'm just...
From the great documentary Austin Powers.
I'm gonna use the restroom too. Well, I can.
I am just sitting and eating so much food and talking about classic rock, and it is the ultimate comfort, really.
During that last one, I gave me and Tommy a popsicle, and I had the weirdest not popsicle. What do they call when you put ice cream? The chocolate shell eroded. Ice cream stick.
Oh yeah, those.
And I had to post it to Instagram. Tommy can vouch for the ice cream stick that came out.
Yes, it was very, very deformed.
And phallic.
Oh good. The best kind.
You want to go on my
Wait a
Instagram?
second.
I have a picture.
What's deformed and phallic?
I posted it to my Instagram.
My life.
Yes. My love
I mean,
life.
You're worried about a female whose life is deformed and shaped like an erect penis.
Yep.
What?
Are we recording, Tom?
Wait, what about females shaped like penises?
We
Never
should be
you
recording.
mind.
We are.
All right, so let's finish this up. Avery, are you gonna join us for Pink Floyd? Oh, she's chewing, so we'd be very, very, very
I
patient.
got an entire spoonful of Nutella in my mouth.
Yeah.
Wherever God to go, no.
I didn't hear any of that.
You weren't supposed to.
No.
Yeah.
I'm
go
not
ahead.
gonna make lists, but I'll stick around because I only put one song on the list.
For Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was.
I've never been into Pink Floyd.
Right. Well, they do have a pretty big, amount of work. So.
And that song's on your list too.
Is it?
Yeah.
One of the five. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's hard to guess which one it is.
Yeah, probably not.
You know it's the only one I listen to. You
Yeah.
know I've never actually listened to the entirety of Dark Side of the Moon.
Then you would not like the Record Rant podcast where we did The Wall. It took us 4 episodes to do it. You
For
would.
The Wall, I think...
But
yeah.
But it also is a double album, so that's why I took.
Like, I've only ever heard bits of The Wall.
Yeah. You've heard Bricks in the Wall.
Yep.
Nice.
To me, something there's another track I heard that I really liked in it. For the life of me, I can't remember what it was.
Was it from The Wall?
Yeah.
There's Mother, Goodbye Blue Sky, Young Lust, Don't Leave Me Now, Hey You.
Hey You! That's the one I'm thinking of.
Okay. Great song.
Hey You! Because I sometimes mix it up with Comfortably Numb. They kind of have that same vibe.
They kind of do. I mean, I like Hey You, but I hate...
I think of it as in their, as there's a line in Comfortably Numb that makes me think of it. What's the line?
Hello, is there anybody in there? Just not if you can hear me.
No, there is no pain.
You are receding. Yeah.
A distance is on
the horizon.
You are only coming through in waves. That's the bit I think of.
You think of
Your
Hey
lips
You?
move, but I can't hear what you're saying.
That reminds you of Hey You?
Yeah.
Interesting. Never thought about it that
I
way.
know, I have to have a random mind.
He's doing a thing about the thing.
Yeah.
And then stuff happened.
The stuff happens with the guys.
Yeah.
And the stuff and the things, and then boom! Explosions.
I mean,
I watched old ladies get down.
that's true. During coke. Well, wait, was it during cocaine? We saw like old ladies getting down to the groove. That's
Oh my
right.
God, I love seeing that.
I forgot about that. And then,
Like
yeah.
Led Zeppelin thing. Like, it's not a tribute band or anything, but it's like the studio musicians doing the classic albums live thing.
Yeah.
At all, it's at like the New Jersey Performing Arts thing. We've gone like every single year for the past 5 years or so. And there's a certain point every single show. It's like about like 40 odd minutes in when the drunks start getting up, and then you just see a whole bunch of toasted old ladies shaking their asses, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
I've
not
only
up in
been
here.
to 4 concerts in my whole life.
Wow.
You went to Paul McCartney.
No, Beach Boys is first.
Oh yeah, Beach Boys came
That's
first.
where I left to go to the bathroom during the orchestra bit because it was Dallas something orchestra, and I got locked out for the first half.
Yeah.
The second half we spent entirely watching a guy backstage who we thought was Brian Wilson.
That was so funny.
Forgetting that Brian Wilson left the band a long time ago.
Right. We saw Beach Boys. Then was it Paul McCartney?
Then it was Paul McCartney.
Then Tegan and Sarah, and then Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Nobody
I've
comes
only
to
been
Texas.
yeah.
Yeah, I've only been to like official concerts was The Wall and Quadrophenia and more. But
yeah.
I also went to see Rain when they came to Dallas Music Fair Park.
I hear they're good because I went to see Me and My
Oh,
Monkey.
they damn good. They the best, son.
Yeah, I'd
Need of this, son.
nice. I mean, Becca, you told me you saw Radiohead twice in
I'm not gonna talk about how many concerts I've seen. I live in the New York area.
Oh,
I go to literally ass loads.
Yeah. Yeah.
You wait, literally ass loads?
Loads of ass. I'm probably
All the
get
asses.
this fall 2 nights in a row.
All the ass. No, but Tom, you remember we were watching the Beatles stories thing at your house?
Yeah, I love that documentary.
You remember the guy who was George in a tribute band who could play two solos at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in Rain.
That was him?
Yeah.
Oh, he was good.
That's how he auditioned for Rain.
Wow.
Side note, Tommy, do you remember watching that Paul is Dead documentary?
That was awful.
Yes.
That sounds atrocious, and I want to do that.
Which one? The Winged Beetle?
Oh, Tommy has never seemed more visibly angry than we were watching that.
No,
kept pausing and pointing out just obvious fact holes in it.
No, it was called. I think it was actually called "Paul is Really Dead," narrated by George Harrison. It sounded like someone from It sounded like Peter Sellers doing a best George.
That was.
Oh my god.
Also, in a real situation.
Some guy doing a really, really bad George Harrison
Yeah,
impersonation.
Avery can do it better.
Yeah, anyone can do it better.
Yeah,
The
anyone.
dog can probably do it better than him.
I want to hear it.
Me? I can't do one, but I can still do it better than him.
What, the George Harrison expression?
Yeah, I mean, he was like, my name is George Harrison. I'm a
I
member
don't
of.
like it.
Oh, wait. No, I got it. My name is George Harrison, and this is the real story of Paul McCartney.
Yeah, and like he over enunciated like hell, and it was.
Yeah, he would say, George Harrison would say, but.
But
He would say boots. He would say boots.
Also, can I just point out the stupidity if you cover up a murder, and then you post cryptic clues in all your songs?
very true. And
there's nothing real world about that scenario.
Yeah.
If you cover a murder, you're not going to post cryptic clues in your songs.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And also, my favorite part of the documentary just is, George, John, and Ringo gather at the flat, and George says, John, I can't believe you put so many clues on the album. Why couldn't you just let it be? And,
fuck me.
and then John, and then John said, "You're right. We'll do one more album, and we'll call it Let It Be."
And then I point out, but that's not the last album they recorded. They recorded Abbey Road.
It's I'm crying because it's so awful, but it's so funny to watch because they'll take it's like the Winged Beetle, the documentary that documentary quote unquote that.
Also, I looked at the guy who made it. Everything else in that guy's filmography is just a bunch of anti-Muslim documentaries. So I feel glad I hate him.
Really?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of Islamists coming to take over America documentaries.
No, Avery, I'm looking at this guy's. I'm looking at the Winged Beetle guy's YouTube channel. Because I Am a Phony has everything YouTube
No, but
here.
look up the guy who directed Paul is Dead filmography. It's just a bunch of anti-Islam documentaries.
No, I think that's a pseudonym they used.
Maybe, but
But all of the I Am a Phony stuff, he comes out with ARE3RA sort of.
No, I'm talking about the one Tommy watched.
yeah.
Tommy got one on Netflix.
Well, I've seen both. I've seen both The Winged Beetle and Paul is Really Dead.
Paul is Really Dead. The director is a guy who just everything else is filmography. He's a bunch of anti-Islam movies.
Well, I have no interest.
that director. I was talking about the Winged Beetle.
Well, I have no interest in seeing any of his films after that one.